Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about 15 precons to watch in 2025. So I've gone back to 2022 with these. So beyond that, precons are harder to find. So basically the oldest one on this list is going to be from 2022. Now, some of them are going to double up because they're just some big themes and stuff. But these precons are basically ones that either you could take and then get some big upgrades from sets this year or precons coming out this year, or the opposite, you get the new precons and then you could look at these ones for some huge upgrades. I'll show an example for, one of them later on, but, it's just some big upgrades that you could find within that for one of the new precons, or just, cards that are in there that you could use in when you upgrade with the newer precons or something like the thing with precons is that recently there's been some that kind of are along kind of the same theme, and that's what kind of what we're looking at here. Now, generally precons try and synergize with the main set that they're tied into as well. So that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. So before we do get started, I am not including these two here. These are two dragon precons. I think you guys understand why I am not including the dragon precons when the dragon set is coming out that will have dragon cards that will go with the dragon commanders. Right? There's going to be obviously huge upgrades for these, so I'm not including them. So starting out with number 1 and 2, we've got Scrappy Survivors and Upgrades Unleashed. These are both based around equipment and enchantment focus, basically buffing up your creatures, whether directly from the Upgrades Unleashed where you're casting them, or you've got like Dogmeat where you're going to be able to, mill them, get them into the graveyard and then bring them back and, use Dogmeat that way. And, basically just being able to create your big creatures by giving them enchantments and equipment. And they've just focused around buffing up your creatures for that combat as best as possible. So there's going to be, within these decks, this is the one that I want to kind of show the example of. For example, the Scrappy Survivors comes with these kind of great cards. So if you are building or upgrading a enchantment or equipment based deck, not enchantments overall, just auras deck, these are kind of some of the big upgrades that you could potentially find within here, or these are just the great cards that you've got in it already if you want to grab some from these newer stuff coming out. Same with Upgrades Unleashed, has some great stuff like Bear Umber is amazing, Common Eye, Battle Armor is great, Silk Guard's great, all of them, just some great cards within them. So if you are kind of looking to either get these decks or use these decks to upgrade something else, later on in the year, we've got the Final Fantasy set coming out. Now, we know from the actual precon that this precon is based around equipment directly, all kind of, equipment based and stuff. And then extra bonuses if you've got like that high power, which equipment and auras can work towards. But we also know that it is very, very likely, given the fact that this one is from the main set, whether it's found within the starter kit or not, it doesn't matter because the starter kits also will tie into the main set. We know that this Cloud at least, is based around equipment, and as long as he's equipped and stuff like that. So there's going to be more equipments and stuff within Final Fantasy set. I think that's kind of straightforward though. A big part of Final Fantasy is, Cloud and stuff, and you've seen his huge sword. I don't know what the sword's named. I am probably, going to get butchered in the comments because of saying that, but yeah, I don't know much about Final Fantasy. But there's a lot of kind of different equipments within Final Fantasy, and, that's a big part of it. So you'll find upgrades for these decks within there, or, you can use these decks to upgrade whatever deck you build from here. Next up, we've got Bedecked Brokers. So this is a counters focused Bant deck. That's very important. It is Bant completely. So it's based around +1/+1 counters as well as other random counters. But we know that there is also another counters based deck coming out later on, the Bedecked one. No, the Counter Blitz. So this has Titus as the face commander here. He is based around counters, and there's always counter stuff within different decks and stuff. I should have included also with the Eye of Eternity. There's another counters based deck there, but that one's in Jeskai colors. But this one here was kind of more direct. It's already based around counters. It's based around, you've got Titus here proliferating. Even if you've got your Bedecked Brokers deck, adding in Titus instantly makes that deck really, really even stronger because you're going to be able to proliferate constantly with him once per turn. It's going to be great. And you're going to find upgrades within this deck, or you can use the Bedecked Brokers one. Like this one here has Resourceful Defense, for example, which is like an Ozolith Light. And you could use that easily within this deck. It's going really well. We've got the Miracle Worker one. So this is an enchantment-based Esper deck. So you're based around casting expensive enchantments for cheaper or otherwise just cheating them out onto the battlefield. Then you're going to get lots of value from them because they are, enchantments. You've got some control elements. You've got, some protection for yourself. You've got the fact that you're going to be able to cheat them out, get them out for four less with the Miracle mechanic. And that kind of ties in well with the upcoming Y'shtola, Knights Blessed, the Scions and Spellcraft deck, which is based around casting big spells. It doesn't matter if you spend, 4 less mana and you're only casting it for 2, it's still casting a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater. It's going to be great. She's going to work really, really well with it. And whether you want to take some of the Miracle Worker stuff and build it into her, or you want to build her into your Miracle Worker deck, both are going to go well. And I'm probably going to end up doing both because my wife really wants to get Y'shtola, and I love my Aminatu deck. Next up, we've got Death Toll. So this one is a little bit more of a guess, but I think it's pretty obvious. I think I actually excluded part of this that should have been in here. We'll see in a sec. But this deck is based around milling yourself and then exiling the cards from the graveyard to bring things back to the battlefield. You just want to kind of, self-mill and then reanimation with it. And that works well with Venom, works well with Sinspira's Punishment as well, which means, obviously this isn't going to work here with these colors, but if you want to build a Sinspira deck, you build it with this, or the other way, there's going to be more cards most likely within this set that are going to be based around getting it in there. But we also know that within the dragon, within Dragons of Tarkir, there is going to be some stuff based in there around self-milling yourself and then reanimation within the Sultai colors there. All right, next up, we've got the Hail Caesar. So this is a combat-focused Mardu deck that also has some aristocrat stuff based around sacrificing your own creatures. Specifically, even calls in tapped and attacking tokens. And this just goes so well with the upcoming Mardu Surge deck, which is also around making attacking tokens and sacrificing them. It just, they're basically the same deck. This one does have some more human tribal stuff in it, while this one's obviously going to have, dragons or orcs or goblins and stuff. But this works well with it. Even within the actual set of within the Tarkir Dragonstorm set, there is going to be stuff in here. You can see here, if something died under your control, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. That's just straight up going to work incredibly well with this deck. Or, as I said, you could pull this deck apart and put it into the Mardu Surge deck. Now, if you guys are liking this video so far, make sure you subscribe and stuff. It's a free way to show your support, help the channel grow, and the link is going to be down in the comments for that. And if you are going to be buying any of these decks, you can head on over to TCG Player with my link down below as well. Support the channel and pick up, the decks cheaper. We've got the Desert Bloom deck. So this one here is wanting to sacrifice or discard your decks, getting them into the graveyard. There's lots of ways to do it, but you're going to always appreciate more ways to be able to sacrifice them for big value. You're going to make a big plant army token battlefield, and there's going to be lots of different triggers there, as well as lots of landfall triggers too. And this is going to work really well with the upcoming World Shaper deck. Now, obviously, this is Jund as opposed to Naya, but there's going to be stuff within the green and red that's going to be sacrificing your lands for sure. Red is very much about sacrificing your lands. There's a few different red cards that do that already. And green's going to be like landfall. So this is going to work really well here between the two. And again, likely within the actual main set, there's going to be stuff, not necessarily deserts, unfortunately, but you could find some useful stuff in there most likely. We've got number 8 and 9, Science/Creative Energy. So both of these decks are very similar. They're based around energy using a lot of artifact-based stuff. You're going to be making artifact creatures or just straight up artifacts. And while they do it differently, there's a lot of similarities between them. The important thing to keep in mind here as well is that energy counters, they are a counter that you can, proliferate and stuff, which will work well with the counterintelligence deck that's about, proliferating counters, boosting artifacts and stuff. They're going to work well together. Now, most likely there's not going to be energy within the Edge of Eternity set. Maybe, I don't know. But within the actual, artifacts and stuff, you're going to find some useful stuff potentially for a Science/Creative Energy deck, or even just taking the artifact based stuff out of here. You could even build this into an energy based deck if you wanted to. We've got Quick Draw. So this is a spell slinger deck. It's based around wanting to just cast multiple spells per turn. There's a lot of, did you cast, your second spell per turn? Here, have a trigger kind of stuff. And, that's basically Jeskai's whole thing within the Tarkia Dragonstorm. We know that the face commander, the secondary commander here is based around, prowess and stuff, which is whenever you cast a second non-creature spell. And then the other ones in here allow you to be able to cast multiple spells or benefit you for casting multiple spells as well. We've got Mutant Menace. So again, milling yourself, and this one also mills your opponents, but we're going to be mostly focusing around that mill yourself stuff there. There's some reanimation based stuff here that can be easily added into to mass reanimate your graveyard and everyone else's graveyard or just your own. And overall just kind of getting value from stuff in your graveyard. The Precon also has a lot of +1/+1 stuff, but the mill's kind of there as the primary focus to kind of fuel that. So that's going to work well with either Sinspara, again, that's about exiling cards from your graveyard. And, if you're milling stuff in there, you could bring it back. Who knows? And then we've also got, for example, Tevel here. It's the Sultai one where you're milling and then bringing back stuff from your graveyard. And then also you get procs based off things leaving your graveyard. Next up, we have the Food and Fellowship deck from the Lord of the Rings. So this is a life gain focused deck. While the primary kind of thing is life gain and stuff through food, it does gain life other ways. And, more life gain is always beneficial for some kind of decks like this. Frodo getting big is huge as well. So it's really great to kind of get more ways to get him big from kind of life gain to kind of continue on your main theme, essentially. So we know that within the Abzan, we've got life gain, we've got ways to make opponents lose life, we've got ways to be able to reanimate stuff as well. Ways like Betor here, who buffs up creatures as well based off of your life gain, is always going to be useful and helpful within a deck like this. We've also got the Brothers War Precons here. I've lumped them both together because they are kind of very similar. They've got artifact stuff, artifact creature focus, both of those. And there's just a lot of stuff to do with artifacts, which we've got some really big sets coming out for that. We've got Edge of Eternities, which is going to have just a huge amount of artifact stuff because it's space and sci-fi based, as well as within, the Spider-Man set. We've already seen Doc Ock here. Now, I will say, this Doc Ock isn't from the main set. It is from the Eternal set, so they could change it. But Spider-Man's kind of modern day, so there's going to be artifact stuff in it with anyway. We've got Enduring Enchantments. So this is based around sagas and sacrificing enchantments and then reanimating them onto the battlefield and stuff, just mostly kind of getting your enchantments into the graveyard and then doing stuff with them from there, whether it's burning people, whether it's, bringing them back as zombies as Anathea does. Otherwise, kind of just doing that kind of stuff. And that's going to synergize really well with the upcoming kind of new enchantment creatures, the summons that they're doing within the Final Fantasy set. Obviously, this one here is blue and it's not going to fit into this deck, but the summons overall kind of will span potentially across all the different colors, so that's going to work well there. But then you've also got the counter blitz one here. We can already see one proliferate thing with Titus there, so it would not surprise me if there's more kind of proliferate stuff that could work well here in various different ways to kind of, whether it's proliferating the summons or whether it's moving counters around from the summons and stuff, will work really well with any kind of Saga based stuff really, really well. We've got the Legends Legacy finally here. So this is legendary creature tribal. It's just going to be using a huge amount of legendaries. And there's a side theme of some reanimation. Now, the great thing about this is that all these kind of universes beyond sets are going to have heaps of legendaries. It's guaranteed they have heaps of legendaries. Terra alone is going to work really well here because she's going to be able to allow you to reanimate some of those legendaries that you're going to get into the graveyard, whether it's from Dihada herself, whether it's Terra putting them in there or whatever. But overall, the Final Fantasy set's going to have heaps of legendaries. The Spider-Man set's going to have heaps of legendaries. The other set, the Avatar one's going to have heaps of legendaries. You're going to see heaps of legendaries within, every set, every universe's beyond set. So more options to kind of go alongside here work well. We don't know if there's going to be actually legendary tribal matters cards within there. But even then, just general really great legends is going to work really well with Dihada. So that's it for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Have a great day and goodbye.